You're good, Justine.
Right, excellent. Welcome, folks. My name is Justine Orlando. I am calling to order this meeting of the Boston Landmarks Design Review Subcommittee on February 24th, 2026 at 5:02 p.m. Present are Commissioners Chair Walker and myself, Orlando. You can participate in this hearing by joining the Zoom meeting link posted in our agenda online at www.zoom.com/J/16098599295 or by calling 1-646 828 7666 and entering meeting ID number 160-985-9295. You may also submit written comments to us via email at blc@boston.gov. In accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, including the March 28th, 2025 amendment, extending the suspension of these provisions until June 30th, 2027, we are conducting this meeting online to ensure public access to the deliberations of the Boston Landmarks Committee and the Design Review Subcommittee. The public may access this call through telephone and video conferencing. This hearing is to be recorded. All conversations between commissioners should be audible to the public in attendance until the hearing has been adjourned. If there are any media or elected officials present, I would ask that you identify yourself by using the Raise Your Hand app and stating your name, title, and affiliation. All right, seeing none, we'll move on to tonight's agenda. So we will have the application for 311 Summer Street. And I believe we'll also be reading in our admin approvals as well. So we'll start with application number 26.0614. And this is for 311 Summer Street. So I would invite the applicant, if they are here, to use the Raise Your Hand app to identify themselves.
I'm trying to find the raise my hand, but I can't find
Oh, it looks
it.
like you are. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. So the applicant is here to address the issued violation for unapproved window signage at the Summer Street elevation of the building. So, sir, before you start your presentation, I'm just going to have our staff read staff notes and recommendations into the record.
Great, thank you, Justine. Staff notes that 311 Summer Street is located at the corner of A Street and Summer Street and was built in 1904 as a 5-story warehouse building for the Boston Wharf Company. In October 2024, the Port Point Channel Landmark District Commission approved wall signage, a blade sign, and vinyl window signage at the A Street elevation of this building. In September 2025, staff issued a violation for unapproved window signage at the Summer Street elevation of this building that includes lighting. And I will just give staff recommendation. Staff recommends that the proposed work is approved with the following provisos: that the vinyl window signage is approved as installed. However, the lighting must be removed. And I will just show you before I turn it over. This is the work at A Street that was approved, and include window signage, wall signage, and also a blade sign. And then there was a blade sign at that time also approved on Summer Street, as well as signage at the entrance. But what we're here to discuss today is the window signage and lighting along at the windows along Summer Street that you see here. So, okay.
Joe, if I can interrupt, did I see on A Street that there's maybe vinyl signage applied to the brick?
It's up here. This was
Yeah.
approved. That was approved.
Okay, just curious.
That's not vinyl, that's metal.
That's metal applied to brick. Okay, thank you.
All right. So applicant, go ahead. I can forward through the images that you submitted if you'd like me to,
Yeah.
and then
Sure.
okay.
My
So
name
here,
is Chaim Danzig. I'm an in-house construction project manager for Five Iron Golf. I managed this project through design and construction, including signage installation. Five Iron Golf is a national brand of indoor golf simulators in a restaurant and bar environment. We hired a local signage vendor called SWG to seek approvals and permits, and then to fabricate and install our signage. And at some point, we got our wires crossed and instructed them to add vinyl on the Summer Street windows in addition to the vinyl that they had gotten approved on A Street. So they fabricated for us and installed the permitted blade sign and dimensional aluminum lettering on the facade on A Street, as well as the approved vinyl on the glass on A Street. And I had asked them to install additional vinyl without realizing that that had not gotten included in the approvals process. And so in addition to our signage, we, of course, designed the entire interior renovation of the space to convert it to a Five Iron Golf. Previously, it was two different tenants. One was a dealer of tile and stone, and one, I believe, was a design studio. We worked with a registered architect and professional engineer who pursued compliance with all code in their designs, and then sought permission for with the 4 Points Commission for use of an outdoor space, which we received permission for an outdoor seated cafe. And we worked back and forth with the building department about ADA compliance. And I was under the impression that all the work that we had done was permitted. And so then included in that work was furnish and install of a whole bunch of different lighting fixtures on the inside. When we were preparing for the signage installation, I had reviewed the design guidelines for the 4 Point District, the 4 Point Channel Landmark District, and I was aware of concerns of the outdoor lighting. And so at the time, actually, the property manager had offered to replace the outdoor lights, but I told them at that point that it was my understanding that they would need approval to swap the outdoor lights, not the lights that we're talking about today. And in my review of the design guidelines, I didn't find anything about interior lighting. And so I was surprised when we got the violation on two accounts. First, I was not aware that our signage vendor did not get permission to install the vinyl on Summer Street, but I was also not aware that there would be any restrictions for lighting installed on the interior of the building. And so these are controllable LED tubes that are suspended from the deck above, behind the glass. We have, I think, an array of four or so, or three or four in three different windows. And then there are, I think, two or three smaller tubes at the side lights to the entry door. So it looks like we have three windows with four, and then there are the two side lights that I think have two per side light. And so I'm hoping to try and, be granted permission to legalize both of these elements, both the vinyl as well as the lighting.
Okay. All right, so at this time, we'll take
I'm sorry,
comments.
Justine, I'm sorry to interrupt. My boss actually is also on the line, Nora Dunn, if you don't mind unmuting her as well. I'm not sure if she has anything to
Yes,
say, but just in case, thank you.
you bet. I think Liz, if you could help us, great. Looks like
She's been
she is
unmuted.
unmuted.
I'm here. Nothing to add. Thanks, I am.
Okay, so we'll start with commissioner comments. Brad, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the background. And I think, you know, per the staff recommendation, the final words can be approved in I don't know, that's not the right wording, after the fact. I think would probably be the way I would intend. In the study report, standards and criteria, it does say, and then I'm going to try and quote this, lettering applied to window glass or signs hung directly behind window glass are subject to review. This lighting, I think, falls into that category. It's not part of the interior lighting. It's hung directly in the window and really meant to be part of your signage. So I think that's why it's subject to review.
Respectfully, I don't agree that it's part of the signage. This was prepared by our interior designer along with specifications and selections for the wall sconces on the other side of the photo, for the overhead track fixtures that you see, and in addition to all the other specialty lighting fixtures that we have throughout the space. And that was part of our architectural package of work that was reviewed and approved by the building department and had been submitted to them as along with the electrical permitting, not with the intention to deceive, but because I had no understanding that the guidelines would be read so that lighting on the interior of the space would be interpreted as signage.
Okay, I think that's where you're going to just find that we differ and that your interpretation is not consistent with how the Landmarks Commission and Design Review Subcommittee have applied illuminated signage mounted to the interior or close to the interior surface of windows that's been reviewed, adjudicated in the past. So those would be my comments. I would ask that the applicant reconsider the purple illuminated sign and consider mounting it to, you know, interior surfaces, other walls, their ceiling, something if it's important to their branding.
Thank you, Brad.
Can I ask what distance from the glass would be considered no longer part of the window?
Like a perpendicular wall or another wall that's, you know, part of the space.
Well, we do, you know, our spaces are very carefully designed. And as you saw in some of the other photos, we have lighting throughout. So we don't have need for these decorative lights in another area in the building. In addition, it costs a fair amount of money to get them wired up and installed. So there is certainly a cost impact of having to relocate them.
Understood.
Thank you, Brad. I would
Had
agree.
I known that need brought before the panel, I certainly would have, you know, as we did with the signage in general, and as I did to a cafe when I was notified that it would need to be reviewed or overseeing committee. So,
yeah.
Mhm.
Brad, I just want to also, there's the purple and then there's the white in the.
Okay, yeah, it's hard to know what's photo exposure or what, but it would have, like my
well,
comment would be the same regardless
they're
of
all
the color of the light.
RGB tricolor assignable, so there's RGB LEDs in each, so each one can and does produce any color.
Yeah, I don't think the
They're all
color.
the same fixture type.
Okay. Brad, I would agree with your statement and with staff. that the vinyl lettering is consistent with the previous approvals and can be approved after the fact, but that the lighting where it's seen as part of that window signage isn't appropriate based on the standards. So with that, I feel as though we would be making a recommendation to the full commission at the business hearing that would be consistent with staff comments as well, that we would have recommend a motion for approval with the proviso that the lit fixtures are removed from the Summer Street windows.
Can I ask again what distance from the window you would consider no longer part of the window signage? I mean, I'm not sure if you're interested, but I could point to 3 other stores where we have a similar display, different orientations, different configurations of similar lighting as a decorative light sculpture in our front window. And none of them is it intended, or do we consider it part of our signage? Our signage is, the signage package that was produced by the signage vendor.
I think if you'd like to propose some alternatives, maybe putting that onto a floor plan and reviewing that with staff, would probably be the best approach.
Is there any guidance in the design documents, design criteria regarding this? Is there something that I could look at rather than paying an architect to produce a new reflected ceiling plan to again get comments on?
I would say, if I could just chime in as the staff member overseeing this district, that I would be happy to meet with you on site, or to look at a floor plan that you have, not something that you need to revise, but an existing floor plan to try to determine where it would be appropriate to install this at the interior, so it's not being considered window signage. Right now this is it's meant to be seen from outside. It's advertising. It's attached.
I mean, it is meant to be seen from outside, but as is everything in the store, we want people to know so we intentionally have a bar, for instance, that is visible from the outside. And we have artwork on interior walls that's visible from the outside. And that's all intentional, for sure. None of that is considered signage. I can send you.
They're directly associated with the windows. I think that's probably the best common sense guidance you can consider. Is if you want to associate it with the interior architecture of the facility, on a wall, on a ceiling, on the front of casework, something like that, that's interior design. If you're hanging things in the windows, they're part of the exterior visible window signage.
Okay. All right, so I'll do that. I'll send the RCP as it currently stands and highlight where these fixtures are located, and I can mark up in there a proposal to offset them off the window. I mean, my preference would still be for them to be visible from the outside. Like I said before, we don't have need for them elsewhere in the space. We have a full program for our interior fit out, and includes, interesting and specific finishes and fixtures applied throughout. So I wouldn't be comfortable moving them
Joe
to
can help
other
you
interior walls.
find a solution without you having to spend a whole lot of time or money. So I would take him up on his offer to just meet and have a conversation about it.
Great. So I'll do that, Joe. I'll send you the RCP with some markups.
And we'll also take public comment as well. So members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on the application and discussions. To do so, please raise your hand in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling and cannot use the platform, you can press *9 to raise your hand, or you can send your questions to staff at email at blc@boston.gov, Public comment will be limited to 2 minutes per person and should focus on the project's exterior architectural features and the application itself, which includes the interior hung lighting.
Okay, Nora is
don't-
has her hand raised again. I'm not sure if she wants to make another comment. So,
Mhm.
Nora, if you'd like to make another comment, I've unmuted you.
Yeah, sorry, I had raised it a while ago, so I don't mean to backtrack, but Chaim had asked again about the distance from the glass. That is appropriate. And in most jurisdictions, when we go to open new stores, it's clearly stated. They give a, 6 inches, 12 inches, something like that. I mean, if we were to hang this more than 12 inches inside, you're just not really giving us a precise
I think you're
amount.
missing the point. Disassociate it from the windows and it won't be signage.
No, that's I guess it's exactly my point. To Chaim's point, you can see art from outside, you can see our dartboard from outside, but that's not considered signage. So that's why there's usually a distance where if it's
Those things are hanging on other walls or architectural features, which would be a good solution here.
right. But we do have other lighting that's hanging inside, and that doesn't seem to be an issue.
Because
Just
it's not
hanging from the
associated
ceiling.
with the windows.
Okay.
I mean, I understand that you're trying to be good advocates for your project, but I think it's pretty clear.
I mean,
Is
I
there the Department of
understand-
Buildings didn't flag this?
This is not a building department matter. This is a landmarks commission matter.
Okay.
Okay. I don't see any members of the public, Liz, raising hands. So I think we can go ahead and close public comment. All right. So we will now, as we said before, we're kind of summarizing what our recommendation would be for the business hearing, which would make a motion to approve the vinyl signage with the proviso that the lit signage or the lit features are removed from the windows. So we'll move on to administrative review. So we have application 26. Oh, excuse me. So we're going to read these in for the record. We'll have application 26.0654, 5-channel Center Street, repair and repoint masonry, replace cracked glass units in kind, and scrape, prime, and recoat rear fire escape. Then we'll have application 26.0644, Quincy Market for South Market Street, maintenance and repair of the ground floor colonnade flooring, interior painting of colonnade and tenant ceilings, replacement of existing ceiling fans, and removal of existing exposed conduit where applicable. Do we have any members of the commission having any questions or comments on the administrative reviews?
None for me, thank you.
Thank you, Brad. So we will recommend a motion at the business hearing for approval of the administrative reviews. All right, and then I think we'll take a break until 6 o'clock.
Sounds
Thanks.
good. Thank you.
Thanks.
You at 6?
We're going to give this a few more minutes as people join the meeting, and we let them in, and we'll get started once we have quorum.
Oh.
Brad, I believe I'm seeing 6 commissioners. Is that correct?
That's my count too.
Okay. We'll give it a couple more minutes.
Liz, the recording's on? All right, I'm going to get started. Good evening, everybody. I'm Brad Walker, Chair of the Boston Landmarks Commission. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Boston Landmarks Commission, February 24th, 2026 at 6:07 p.m. Present are Commissioners Jacques, Orlando, Barrios, Milner, Hoffman, Amadeo, Haney, and myself. Also present with us are Boston Landmarks Commissioners staff members, Elizabeth Sherva, who is Deputy Director of the Office of Historic Preservation, and Executive Director of the Landmarks Commission, Joe Cornish, who is Director of Design Review, and I see Kathy Kotaridis, who is Director of the Office of Historic Preservation. Is there anyone else here, either commissioners or staff, that I missed? All right, let me get into the particulars. You can participate in this hearing by going to the Zoom meeting link posted on our online agenda at www.zoomgov.com/J/160-985-9295 or by calling 646-828-7600 and entering the meeting ID 160-985-9295. You may also submit written comments to us via email at elc@boston.gov. In accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, including the March 28, 2025 amendment extending the suspension of these provisions until June 30th, 2027, we are conducting this meeting online. To ensure public access to the deliberations of the Boston Landmarks Commission, the public may access this call through telephone and video conferencing. The hearing is being recorded. All conversations between commissioners should be audible to the public in attendance until the meeting has been adjourned. At this time, I would ask any media or elected officials present to identify yourselves, state your name, title, and affiliation. In order to do that, you'll have to use the raise your hand function in the Zoom platform. If you have trouble finding that, it moved lately. I think it's under React and then gestures, and then the third menu down, you'll find raise your hand. Seeing none, let me just briefly outline the agenda. It's quite a brief agenda tonight. We're going to start by looking at the meeting minutes of January 27th. We'll then go on to recap and vote on design review items from the design review subcommittee meeting earlier this evening, staff updates, and then adjournment. So we should be able to get everyone out here relatively quickly this evening. I'm going to start with the ratification of the meeting minutes. The meeting minutes for January 27th were distributed to commission members prior to this meeting, and I would open the floor to commissioners for any corrections or comments on those meeting minutes. Hearing none, I would accept a motion to accept the meeting minutes as presented.
I'll make that motion, Brad.
Thank you, Justine. And a second, please.
Second,
John Amadeo.
yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Jacques,
Yes.
Commissioner Orlando,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrios Milner.
I was absent, so I'll recuse.
Abstain, got it.
Abstain.
Commissioner Hoffman,
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo,
Yes.
Commissioner Haney,
Yes.
and I vote yes. The meeting minutes are approved. Let's move on to design review, recap and vote. And for that, I'm going to ask design review subcommittee chair Justine Orlando to take us through those matters that were handled earlier this evening.
Awesome, thank you. So earlier, subcommittee met to review application 26.0614. This was at 311 Summer Street, and the applicant was here to address the issued violation for unapproved window signage at the Summer Street elevation of the building. Ultimately, the vinyl signage was pretty consistent with what was previously approved. That's where Joe is pointing here on the screen. And that seemed to be in line with what was previously approved by the commission. And so we were looking at that as as acceptable after the fact. What we did take some exception to here is the lit signage in the windows themselves not being compliant with the standards of criteria. And therefore, we are making the recommendation to approve the vinyl signage with the proviso that the illuminated features are removed or relocated so that they're not viewed as integral to the window signage or an illuminated window feature.
All right, thank you, Justine. I will accept that as a motion. Is there a second to that motion? And I think probably it's appropriate that that would be me since I was there. So I'm going to second that. And I will take our vote. Commissioner Jacques,
Yes.
Commissioner Orlando,
Yes.
Commissioner excuse me, Commissioner Barrios Milner,
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman,
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo,
Yes.
Commissioner Haney,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So the motion carries with provisos. and we go on to design review administrative review item. Justine.
Yes, so earlier during the design review subcommittee, we read in the administrative approvals into the record. So I would make a motion to approve all of the administrative items previously read in.
Did we read those in at this meeting?
We read them in at the design review subcommittee.
Okay. Is that sufficient, Joe? Or do we read them into this? Sufficient? Okay, thank you.
Yep, that's fine.
All right, so that is a motion to approve the administrative reviews as presented from Justine. I will second. And voting Commissioner Jacques,
Yes.
Commissioner Orlando,
Yes.
Commissioner Barris-Milner,
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman,
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo,
Yes.
Commissioner Haney,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So the administrative review updates are, the administrative review items are approved. And I will now recognize Elizabeth Sherva for any staff update.
Thanks, Chair Walker. Just a quick update. Our next Landmarks Commission hearing will be on Tuesday, March 10th. We will be looking at the study report for the Bussey House. So you will find that coming to your email inboxes towards the end of this week. And just a quick reminder to the commissioners that all commissioners are always welcome to attend design review subcommittee, especially if you're interested in a project that you see on the agenda, you're more than welcome to participate. And that's all I have for this evening.
All right. Any commissioners have any comments or worries or things they want to share?
Yeah, was there a design review meeting today?
There was.
My calendar was showing it as being canceled.
Huh. That
Jeff, we can check in offline and I can make sure that it's popping up for you.
All right. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yeah, that's weird.
I would just like to thank all of the staff for the event last week, celebrating 50 years of the commission. It was a terrific event.
Thanks, John.
I second that.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
thank
great
you.
to see you all.
It was lovely to see everybody in person.
Even those we've forgotten that we hadn't met in person.
Mhm.
It happens, and lately a lot.
Yeah.
And
All right.
Brad, thank you for your comments at that event too. They were very, very helpful and very nicely done.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was great to see everybody. If there is nothing further, I don't want to rush anybody along because we've been at this for all of 7 minutes. I will accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll move that we adjourn.
Thank you, John. And is there a second on that, please?
Jeff Haney seconds.
Jeff Haney, thank you. And that's just a voice vote. So all in favor, please say aye.
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 Great.
Any opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.